Chapter 6. By decree the Doge's private audience chamber glowed with morning light, the marble floors pale beneath the rising lagoon mist. Domenico and Luca Bellini stood before the Doge, hands clasped, hearts pounding. "Your workshop has served Venice with distinction," the Doge said, his voice carrying the weight of the Republic. "By decree of the state, the Bellini workshop is hereby named official glassmakers to the Venetian government." Luca's breath caught. Domenico bowed so deeply his hair brushed the floor. "We are honored beyond measure, your serenity. You will coordinate with Count Castelforte in all matters of state commission," the Doge added. "He will act as liaison on behalf of the Republic." Stood to the side, composed, unreadable, the Doge dismissed them with a gesture. The great doors opened and the Bellinis stepped into the long marble corridor, the sound of their footsteps echoing like a heartbeat. For a moment, they simply stood there, stunned. "Official glassmakers," Luca whispered. "To the Republic." Exhaled, almost laughing. "Father will not believe it." They began walking, still dazed, still whispering, until another set of footsteps joined theirs, measured, deliberate. Count Alessandro Castelforte, he approached with quiet authority, but when he reached them, his tone softened. "Signore Bellini," he said. "A moment, if you please." The brothers stopped immediately. Castelforte glanced down the corridor, empty, then toward the distant guards. Only when he was certain they were alone did he speak again. "I understand the tall mercury-silvered mirror you completed last month has already been delivered to Signore Virelli." "Yes, Signor," Domenico said. "We plan to send the formal letter of assurance tomorrow afternoon." Castelforte nodded slowly. "That mirror," he said, "is unusual." Luca frowned. "Unusual how, Signor? We inspected it thoroughly." Castelforte raised a hand not to silence but to reassure. "Not flawed," he said. "Not dangerous, simply touched by something rare." It happens on occasion when craftsmanship reaches a certain height. The brothers exchanged a confused glance. "You must understand," Castelforte continued, choosing each word with care. "Some mirrors develop a temperament, a presence. It is not your doing, it is not a mistake, it is simply the nature of certain pieces." Swallowed. "And this one?" Castelforte's gaze sharpened, though his tone remained gentle. "This one may draw attention," he said, "or give the impression of attention. If Signore Virelli remarks upon it, do not dismiss him." Luca's brow furrowed. "You believe he will?" Castelforte offered the faintest, most diplomatic smile. "I believe he may notice what you, as its makers, could not. That is all." He inclined his head. "Send your letter," he said. "And if Virelli requests anything further, inform me at once." He stepped past them, his coat whispering across the marble floor as he disappeared into the shadows of the corridor. The Bellinis remained still. They had been honored by the Republic. They had been praised by the Doge. And now, in private, they had been warned gently, cryptically, by the man who understood more than he ever said aloud. And somewhere across the city, in Virelli's quiet hallway, the mirror waited. Chapter 7. Careful men. The knock at the front door was deliberate, resonant, the kind that traveled through the marble floors and up the spine of the house. Not loud, but confident, as though the visitor understood the acoustics of noble estates. Domenico appeared in the east room doorway, the faint scent of beeswax trailing behind him. "Signor, a carriage has arrived." Virelli looked up from the book he wasn't reading. "Whose?" Domenico stepped forward with a silver tray. On it lay a carte de visite, thick and cream-colored, embossed with a stag beneath a crescent moon. Count Rinaldo di Castelforte. The name seemed to warm the air around it. "Show him in," Virelli said. The receiving hall brightened as the door opened. Afternoon light spilled across the marble floor. Two footmen stood at attention, their livery immaculate. The Count entered with the soft rustle of fine wool. He carried the faint scent of bergamot and cedar, subtle, expensive, chosen by a man who understood restraint. "Virelli," he said with a warm bow, "forgive the intrusion. I heard a whisper that you recently commissioned a Bellini mirror. I could not resist offering my congratulations." Was no pretense of passing nearby. The Count never bothered with fictions when sincerity served him better. Virelli blinked, surprised but pleased. "News travels quickly." "When beauty is involved," the Count replied. "It travels instantly." They walked together through the corridor. The house felt unusually alive, the muted echo of their footsteps, the distant ticking of the long-case clock. "I admit," the Count continued lightly, "I have a fondness for the Bellinis. Years ago I recommended them to the Doge. It delighted me to see them named the official glassmakers of Venice. They are particular, yes, but their work rewards patience." Virelli smiled. "You speak as though you know them well." I know excellence when I see it, the Count said. And I know when a craftsman has touched something rare. They entered the sitting room. The fire crackled softly. The conversation flowed with surprising ease: Venetian politics, the decline of true craftsmanship, the melancholy of vials. The Count's humor was dry, his knowledge deep, his presence warm without ever becoming familiar. At one point, he glanced toward the east room, not directly, but with the subtle curiosity of a man who already knew what stood there. I have always admired mirrors, he said, not merely as objects but as instruments. They reveal things paintings cannot. They participate. Virelli felt a faint stir of recognition. You speak as though they have a life. Some do, the Count said with a small smile. Once in a decade, once in a century, a mirror is made that behaves differently. The Bellinis have a talent for stumbling into such moments. The words were casual. They were not casual. Virelli hesitated only a moment. Would you like to see it? The Count's eyes warmed. If it would not trouble you. They walked to the east room. The late sunlight caught the glass, turning it a muted gold. The air near it felt slightly cooler. The Count stopped before the mirror, hands clasped behind his back, his posture respectful, almost reverent. It is extraordinary, he murmured. Truly, if mine possesses even half this grace, I shall consider myself fortunate. Virelli felt a warmth rise in his chest, the pleasure of being understood by someone who valued the same things he did. The Bellinis spoke highly of your commission, he said. They seemed honored. Count's smile deepened, touched with something almost shy. I am glad. They are remarkable craftsmen. But you, Signore Virelli, you have an instinct for choosing pieces that belong to you. This mirror suits you. The words landed gently, but with surprising weight. Virelli felt no unease, only a sense of being seen clearly and without judgment. The Count lingered a moment longer, not touching the mirror, simply sharing the quiet with him. Whatever he sensed, he kept to himself, out of respect, not secrecy. They walked back toward the receiving hall at an unhurried pace, their conversation drifting easily again, a shared complaint about unreliable stonemasons, a brief debate about the merits of vials versus lutes, a laugh that came naturally to both of them. At the door, the Count paused, not as a man eager to leave, but as one reluctant to end a pleasant visit. I have enjoyed this afternoon, he said. More than I expected. It is rare to find someone with whom conversation feels effortless. Virelli felt the same truth in himself. You would be welcome here any time. Count bowed, not formally, but warmly, almost like a friend. Then I shall take you at your word. Stepped out into the fading light, the soft rustle of wool following him. The carriage lamps glowed amber as the footman opened the door. Before entering, the Count glanced back once, not at the house, but at Virelli, with a small, private smile that felt like the beginning of something. When the carriage rolled away, the house did not exhale in relief. It felt instead as though it had been visited by someone who belonged. Virelli drifted back to the east room. The mirror caught the last of the sunlight, its surface calm, almost serene. His reflection stood with him, companionably so, as though sharing the quiet.